Your everyday carry could be legal when you leave the house and illegal before you get back home. Pause. And if you cross the wrong state line without knowing these updates, you may not get a warning. You may get cuffs. Quick question before we continue. Are you subscribed? Because what I'm about to reveal could save you from life-changing legal trouble. Hit that button now, because most gun owners do not hear about these changes until after somebody gets arrested. All right, let's get into it. As of right now, here are 6 gun law updates that could affect your daily carry, your road trips, and even the next handgun you plan to buy. First update, California quietly got a lot tougher again for carry permit holders. On January 23rd, 2025, a court ruling made more of California's sensitive place rules enforceable. That sounds like dry legal talk, but here's what it means in real life. If you have a carry permit, there are now even more places where carrying can get you in trouble. Here's the part nobody's talking about. This is not just about schools and courthouses. California says permit holders can't carry in bars and restaurants that serve alcohol, playgrounds, youth centers, parks, athletic areas, many state recreation lands, casinos, stadiums, public libraries, amusement parks, zoos, and museums. And some of those rules even reach related parking areas nearby sidewalks or streets. Think about how easy it is to mess that up. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. You drive to a baseball game, you stop at a restaurant first, then you park near the stadium, then you walk past a public plaza to the gate. In a lot of states, that might just be a normal night out. In California, that same routine can run you through multiple no-carry zones in one evening. Most people think, I have a permit, so I'm covered. But the truth is, a permit does not erase location bans. That is the mistake. And that mistake is exactly what gets decent people charged. But here's the crazy part. A lot of gun owners still use old maps, old forum posts, or old YouTube videos. Those can be dead wrong now. So if you carry in California, or even visit California, you need to think less like, do I have my permit? And more like, where am I standing right now? Second update, California also opened a very narrow door for some out-of-state gun owners, and this one is confusing people. Starting April 22nd, 2025, California had to accept carry permit applications from some non-residents because of a court order. Then, in August 2025, that path expanded to members of another gun rights group too. Now, before you get excited, let me slow that down. This does not mean California suddenly recognizes every other state's permit. It does not mean national reciprocity happened. It does not mean you can just drive in with your home state permit and call it good. Here's what matters. Some non-residents can now apply for a California permit if they fall into certain court-ordered categories. But they still have to deal with California's process. That means training, paperwork, background steps, and listing the specific handguns they plan to carry. And if that gun, or even its setup, is not legal under California law, you still have a problem. So what's the takeaway for you? If you travel with a firearm, do not assume a court headline means California is now carry-friendly. It isn't. This update helps a narrow group of people, but it also creates a new trap. People hear non-residents can apply now, and their brain turns that into California opened up. No, California opened a tiny side door, not the front gate. Now let's talk about update number 3, and this one is a road trip trap. New Jersey is still one of the easiest places to get burned if you carry without checking the latest rules. As of July 25th, 2025, New Jersey's own permit instructions still warned that a long list of so-called sensitive places remained enforceable while court fights continued. Let me break this down for you. New Jersey does not just care whether you have a permit. It cares where you go with that permit. One of the biggest danger zones is bars and restaurants where alcohol is served. The state has said those places are off limits, and businesses were even encouraged to post gun-free signs. The warning was simple. Carry there, and you could face criminal penalties and lose your permit. Imagine you are driving from Pennsylvania up through New Jersey. You stop for dinner. You do not order a drink. You never touch alcohol. Most people think that should matter. But what matters there is often the location itself, not what's in your glass. And here's the part that shocked me. New Jersey's own documents basically tell permit holders the court battle is still moving, which means this area can change. So if you rely on a post from 6 months ago or a buddy at the range, you are gambling with your freedom. If you're finding this helpful, imagine what you'll learn in my next video about the 5 words that protect you when police ask about your gun. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Fourth update. Maryland just gave gun owners one of the clearest examples of why you cannot stop at the permit itself. On January 20th, 2026, the Fourth Circuit upheld a big chunk of Maryland's carry restrictions, and the list is not small. Maryland says permit holders need to watch government buildings, mass transit facilities, schools and school grounds, state parks, state forests, Chesapeake, forest lands, museums, healthcare facilities, stadiums, racetracks, amusement parks, and casinos. That is a huge deal for daily carry because these are not weird places. These are normal places. Here's a hypothetical example to explain this. Say you carry every day. On your way home, you hop on transit, stop by a state park, then visit a relative at a hospital. In your home state, maybe that sounds routine. In Maryland, that routine can walk you through multiple serious legal issues. But wait, there's something even more important. Maryland State Police also said some parts of the law were still not enforceable while the case waits on possible Supreme Court review. That includes location selling alcohol, private property without owner consent, and being within 1,000 feet of a public demonstration. So yes, some restrictions were upheld, but some pieces are still in a weird legal holding pattern. And that is exactly why these cases are so dangerous for normal people. The rule is not always just legal or illegal. Sometimes the answer is part of it is active, part of it is stayed, and if you guess wrong, you are the test case. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Fifth update. Massachusetts just changed the training side of the game, and this matters more than people think. On April 2nd, 2026, revised basic firearm safety training kicked in for permit applicants and for some renewals. That means if you are applying for a new permit, or if you got your current permit after August 1st, 2024, and now need to renew, you may need the updated course. Why does that matter for daily carry? Because no permit means no lawful carry. Simple as that. The new course requirements include things like disengagement tactics, suicide prevention, safe storage, and live fire training. Whether you love those changes or hate them, they are now part of the real world process. And here's what most people get wrong. They think the law changes, but the class system will magically be ready. Not always. When I found this out, I immediately thought about the guy who waits until the last minute. You know the guy. He says, I'll renew next month. Then next month comes, classes are full, paperwork is delayed, and suddenly he is carrying on an expired permit or not carrying at all. That is not just annoying. That can become expensive and risky fast. So if you live in Massachusetts or you're moving there, don't just look at the law, look at the calendar. If training is now part of the bottleneck, your carry rights can get jammed up before you even leave the parking lot. Hey, 73% of people watching right now aren't subscribed. Don't be part of that group. Join the gun owners who get these updates first. Click subscribe. Sixth update. Colorado has a change coming that could hit the next firearm you want to carry. Starting August 1st, 2026, Colorado will restrict the sale and purchase of certain semi-automatic firearms unless the buyer completes the required training path. Now, this is where it gets interesting. A lot of people hear about this law and think, that's just about rifles. Not exactly. Colorado's law covers certain semi-automatic rifles and shotguns with detachable magazines, but it also reaches some gas-operated semi-automatic handguns with detachable magazines. In plain English, this is not only a long gun story. Before buying a covered firearm, a person may need a sheriff-issued eligibility card and specific safety training, or a mix of hunter education and firearms training, depending on the path they use. So if you are in Colorado and planning to buy a new carry gun, this is not something to figure out at the gun counter. This is something to figure out before you shop. Here's a hypothetical example. You finally decide to upgrade your carry setup. You save the money, you pick the model, you walk in ready to buy. Then the dealer tells you the firearm falls under the new law and you do not have the required training record. Your purchase just died on the spot. And while we're on Colorado, there was another shift before that. Starting July 1st, 2025, firearms dealers there had to have a state dealer permit. That matters because legal transfers are supposed to move through authorized dealers, and buyers need to make sure they are dealing with someone properly permitted under the state's system. So the bigger lesson here is not just Colorado changed the rules. The bigger lesson is this. The next gun you want to carry may be legal to own in general, but harder to buy, harder to transfer, or tied to extra steps you did not plan for. One more update before we close, and this one is not a brand new law, but the court update matters if you carry in New York. In October 2025, the Second Circuit kept New York's ammunition background check law in place. That requirement has been around since 2023, but the court fight told us something important. The rule is not going away right now. Why should you care? Because daily carry is not just about the gun, it is also about the ammo you keep in it. If you live in New York or buy ammunition there, you need to expect that extra background step. And if you wait until the last minute to restock your carry ammo before class, a trip, or a range day, that delay can hit you when you least expect it. Most people focus only on the permit. Smart carriers focus on the whole chain. The permit, the place, the ammo, the training, the transport, and the state line. Miss one link and the whole thing falls apart. This information could literally expire after the next court ruling or the next legislative session. Subscribe now because the next video explains exactly what you need to do before these deadlines and legal shifts catch you off guard. So here's the big takeaway. Your carry permit is not a magic shield. The real danger is the place you step into, the state you drive through, the training you forgot to renew, or the firearm you plan to buy next. Pause. The gun law world is moving fast, and the people who get hurt most are usually the ones who thought they were already covered. If this video helped you, subscribe right now and stay with this channel. I spend the time digging through these updates so you don't have to learn them from a police report. And one last thing, laws change. Local rules matter, and every case is different. So use this video to get informed, then check your state and talk to a qualified attorney before you bet your freedom on what you heard online.